I guess we've all been there, right? Uploading our family photos and work documents to the cloud, thinking they're safe and private. However, in the background, some of the biggest tech companies have been quietly training their AI systems to your and with your personal files. Meanwhile, government agencies can request backdoor access to your data with little more than a little polite letter to these same companies. And here's the kicker. You agree to all of this when you clicked I accept on those terms of service hardly anyone ever reads. I'm guilty of this too. And that's why today I'm diving into the world of open source cloud storage, where I'll share with you 5 providers that prove you don't have to choose between convenience and actual privacy. Now, before we jump into our ranking, let's talk about what open source means and why you should care. Think of open source software like a recipe that's freely shared with the world. Instead of keeping the ingredients and cooking methods secret like proprietary services do, open source providers publish their entire code for anyone to examine, test, and also improve. It's like having a glass house instead of a black box. You can see how your data is being handled every step of the way. And this transparency creates something beautiful. Trust through verification rather than blind faith. When thousands of developers can peer into the code, security flaws get spotted and fixed faster than you can say data breach. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about providers. What are the cloud storage services that are actually open source? Starting on our list at number 5 is NextCloud. And honestly, this one's a bit of a wild card. NextCloud lets you know upfront that it is completely open source. Every single line of code from the core platform to the mobile apps is available under the AGPL license. This means any company that modifies NextCloud has to share those changes with the community. But here's why it's sitting at number 5 despite being incredibly powerful. NextCloud is like getting a Formula One race car when you just need a sedan to drive to the grocery store. It's capable of absolutely everything: file storage, real-time collaboration, video conferencing, calendar management, contact sync, email hosting, and even AI integration. The NextCloud Hub basically lets you replace Google Workspace entirely while keeping everything on your own servers. But there's a catch. Yes, you have to run those servers yourself, which can be a lot for someone who isn't exceptionally tech savvy. I know some of you are really into maintaining their own servers, and it's all super easy. You can run your script, you can do everything. Yes, I mean, I agree. I also do this here. But I also, as a person who produces video for the majority of people that are watching this, they're not as tech savvy, right? And they don't want to mess with their own service and their own security. So that's why NextCloud is a great option if you're the right fit for this service, if you know what I mean. Now, while you can find hosted NextCloud providers, the real power comes obviously from self-hosting, which means you need some technical chops. Setting up NextCloud involves configuring web servers, databases, SSL certificates, and dealing with all the maintenance that comes with running your own infrastructure. It's not exactly plug and play for most people. And between you and me, NextCloud can be frustrating to get up and running, even if you know what you're doing. And I know what I'm doing, but I still tend to gravitate more towards paid services that do it for me the older I get and the seemingly less time I have in my life. So once you're up and running, the web interface is pretty clean and intuitive, and with that familiar left sidebar navigation that doesn't take much effort to master. So file uploads happen through a simple drag and drop interface, and the real-time collaboration features, they work smoothly when everything's properly configured. Things get a little tricky when NextCloud, well, when you look at it from a performance perspective, I can't give you really a specific speed test number, because, well, it depends entirely on your server setup, right? Run NextCloud on a Raspberry Pi in your basement will give you vastly different results than hosting it on a beefy cloud server with SSD storage and gigabit connectivity, right? So that's depends a little bit how much money you want to shell out for the infrastructure. That's both the beauty and obviously also the curse of self-hosting. From a security standpoint, NextCloud is frankly impressive. You get server-side encryption out of the box with optional end-to-end encryption for privacy buffs like me. Since you control the service, you control where your data lives. No question about jurisdiction or government access. The two-factor authentication support is robust, including TOTP, WebAuthn, and even video verification for high security scenarios. Pricing is where NextCloud really gets interesting. The core software is obviously completely free, but you'll pay for hosting or hardware. A basic virtual private server suitable for personal use might run you $10 to $20 monthly per person, while a more robust setup with NextCloud Enterprise could cost you $50 to $100 per month. The NextCloud company offers enterprise support and hosting services, but for most users, the DIY route is the way to go. And obviously, you can also install it on a NAS here in your home or in your office, basically, and then run it on a NAS, so you don't have to rent a server that's basically outside of your home. But again, it requires a little more setup. NextCloud sits at number 5 because although it's undeniably powerful and completely under your control, it demands technical expertise that most people, as I said before, simply don't have or, frankly, don't want to develop. Okay, number 4 is Koofr, a Slovenian service that proves you don't need to be a tech giant to build something special. Koofr is partially open source, specifically Koofr Vault. The rest of Koofr, including its basic cloud storage, is not open source, which is why Koofr is not higher on our list. What makes Koofr genuinely unique is its multi-cloud management capability. Beyond providing its own storage, Koofr lets you connect your existing Dropbox, your existing Google Drive, and OneDrive accounts, creating a unified experience basically for all your cloud storage. The Koofr interface is refreshingly clean and uncluttered. Everything feels purposeful. There's no feature bloat or confusing navigation trees like you sometimes have with Google Drive or Google Workspace, where everything seems to be hidden behind the next navigation pane. When you upload the files, the process is straightforward with decent preview capabilities for images, videos, and documents. The Office 365 integration is particularly well implemented, allowing you to create and edit Microsoft documents directly in the browser. And performance-wise, Koofr impressed me during testing a lot. Upload and download speeds averaged just over 7 minutes for our 5 GB test folder. In our uncapped tests, download peaked at around 33 megabyte per second, with uploads averaging 25 megabyte per second. These are solid speeds that put Koofr in the upper tier of cloud storage performance. And security is where Koofr shows its European roots. Being based in Slovenia means full GDPR compliance, and they take privacy seriously. The service offers client-side encryption through its Vault feature, though this is limited to a single encrypted folder on a free account. You get more if you subscribe to a paid plan. It's not as comprehensive as some alternatives, but it's properly implemented zero-knowledge encryption, meaning Koofr genuinely cannot access your encrypted files. The company is transparent about it. It has solid privacy practices and doesn't engage in data mining that's become standard with American tech giants. Your files aren't scanned for advertising purposes, and there's no AI training happening with your personal data. The servers are located in EU data centers, which provide additional legal protection and obviously under European privacy laws, which are quite secure. From a collaboration standpoint, Koofr offers decent file sharing with password protection and expiration dates. The commenting system for shared files works well, though it's obviously not as sophisticated as what you find in more collaboration-focused platforms like Google Drive. The version history keeps your files safe from accidental changes. It retains up to 5 previous versions for reasonable periods. It's not a lot, but I mean, it gets the job done. And obviously, we have to talk about pricing, where Koofr becomes a little bit of a harder sell. The free plan offers 10 gigabytes of storage, which is respectable, and paid plans start at around €2 monthly for 100 gigabytes. And while these aren't unreasonable prices, they're not particularly competitive either. All right. Mega takes the third place spot. It's a service with one of the most fascinating origin stories in cloud storage. Fascinating and controversial. Born essentially from the ashes of Mega Upload. You gotta research Mega Upload on your own pace when you have some time. It's really, really fun. Mega has spent years rebuilding its reputation, distancing themselves from its founder, Kim.com, while also pioneering some genuinely innovative approaches to cloud security. The service is partially open source with its client-side applications available for inspection on GitHub, though the server infrastructure remains proprietary. So this transparency has proved valuable as security researchers have been able to identify and help fix vulnerabilities in Mega's encryption implementation. In fact, in 2022, cryptographic researchers discovered a significant flaw that could theoretically allow Mega to retrieve user encryption keys under very specific circumstances. Mega has since patched this issue, and the transparency of its client's code is exactly why such problems get discovered and fixed, rather than lurking and muddled in there indefinitely. And looking at it from a features perspective, Mega takes a security-first approach that shapes essentially everything else they offer. The service provides client-side encryption for your entire account, not just one single folder, and every file you upload is encrypted on your device before transmission, and Mega genuinely cannot decrypt your data, even if compelled by authorities. And this is both a strength and a limitation. While your privacy is protected, it means Mega can't offer password recovery if you forget your credentials. And if all of this is a lot of information, make sure to click the links in the description box below, which take you directly to our reviews on cloudwords.net for all of the services that we're covering here. And you can also browse our best cloud storage guide that helps you navigate the jungle of cloud storage services, be it open source or not. One unique feature I particularly appreciate is Mega's approach to file versioning. They keep up to 100 previous versions of files for an unlimited amount of time, which is more generous than almost any competitor. And Mega also includes an encrypted chat feature that's surprisingly well implemented. You can securely communicate with other Mega users, you can share files through the chat interface, and even make voice and video calls. Obviously, it will not replace, say, Slack or Microsoft Teams in that regard, but it is extremely well implemented and secure. Now, performance. This is where Mega shows both its strengths and also its limitations. In our testing, uploads averaged 7 minutes for our 5 GB test folder, while downloads took 8 minutes. These speeds are quite respectable, but not outstanding. And what's more concerning is the transfer quota imposed on all users. My free account has a limited number of daily transfers, which can be frustrating if I'm moving large amounts of data, right? So these transfer quotas are something, it's pretty hard to navigate, right? Even if you are on a paid plan, you have these transfer limits, which are quite high, but still you need to be aware of them, especially if you do a big data dump when you sign up for Mega. Security-wise, Mega is genuinely impressive despite past vulnerabilities. The client-side encryption covers your entire account. The client code is open for inspection, and the company has generally been responsive to security research. From a pricing perspective, Mega offers one of the most generous free plans available. 20 gigabytes of storage that expands to 30 gigabytes for the first year if you complete simple tasks and invite friends. Now, we have the paid plans that start around $9 per month for 2 terabytes, which is reasonable, but in the grand scheme of things, not really something to run home about. The pricing becomes less competitive at higher storage tiers, and the feature set remains relatively basic compared to productivity-focused alternatives. Okay. Taking the second spot is a cloud storage company you may not be that familiar with. It's called Filen. It's a German service that represents a new generation of privacy-focused cloud storage. Filen is completely open source. Every line of code from its mobile apps to its web interface is available on GitHub for anyone to examine. And this level of transparency is refreshing in a world where most services treat their code like state secrets. And what immediately strikes you about Filen is its uncompromising focus on privacy and security. The service implements zero-knowledge encryption across your entire account. It obviously uses EU-based servers for GDPR compliance and has plans to undergo independent security audits in the future. And we're going to be obviously keeping you up to date on these developments here on the channel. The user experience with Filen is intentionally minimalist, but it's pretty well executed. The web interface is clean. It's functional without unnecessary bells and whistles. This isn't really a criticism. To the contrary, I mean, Filen knows exactly what it wants to be and executes on that version very well. The file uploads are straightforward, and the service includes nice touches like encrypted notes and chat features, though these feel more like security demonstrations than essential tools. Where Filen gets interesting is in its sync customization options. Now, unlike most cloud storage services that force you into their synchronization model, Filen lets me choose exactly how I want to sync work for each folder. I can sync, say, from device to cloud. I can sync from cloud to device or bidirectionally. And this granular control is particularly useful for backup scenarios where I want files preserved in a cloud, but I don't need them taking up my local space. However, Filen's performance tells a more complex story. In our testing, upload speeds were dramatically slower than the competition, taking over 24 minutes for our 5 GB test folder compared to 6 and 7 minutes we typically see from fast services. During uncapped testing, uploads peaked at around 2.5 megabytes per second, which Filen attributes to server limitations related to being a relatively young service that's experiencing some growing pains, let's say. And Reddit discussions and community feedback suggest that upload speeds have degraded as the service gained popularity, and this is likely a temporary issue, I hope, that additional infrastructure investment could solve, but for now, it's a real limitation. Downloads paint a different picture entirely. Filen achieved 7 minutes and 2 seconds for our test folder with uncapped speeds reaching 36 megabytes per second. The download performance is generally excellent, suggesting that the infrastructure theoretically can handle high speeds when properly provisioned. The upload bottleneck appears to be specific limitations rather than a fundamental architectural problem, but we'll see how they solve that in the future. Now, from a security standpoint, Filen is exceptional. The client-side encryption is properly implemented. The open source code provides full transparency. The German base means strong privacy protection under EU laws. Collaboration features are deliberately limited, which aligns with Filen's security-first philosophy, and I like the limitations. I don't like services to do everything, like including a VPN, and then include an antivirus service, and include a password manager. No, they stick with cloud storage, and from me, this is a thumbs up. You can share files securely, but don't expect real-time document editing or extensive commenting systems. It's not made for that. The encrypted notes feature is interesting, but feels more like a proof of concept than a fully developed productivity tool, to be honest. And we obviously have to talk about pricing, and it becomes quite compelling here. The free plan offers 10 gigabytes of storage, which is competitive in the grand scheme of things. So compared to Dropbox, it only gives 2 gigabytes, right? And then the paid plans are remarkably affordable. The 2 terabyte plan only costs around $7 per month with annual billing, making it one of the cheapest options available. And Filen also offers lifetime plans periodically, though these aren't always available, so do check out our links in the description box below where you can get the best plans possible right now. Okay, top spot. Drum roll, are you ready? Internxt, a Spanish service that's, I would say, quietly revolutionizing what open source cloud storage can be. Internxt is completely open source with both client and server code available on GitHub, but what sets it apart is the sophisticated implementation of cutting-edge security technologies. The headline feature that pushes Internxt to the top spot is its implementation of post-quantum cryptography alongside traditional AES 256-bit encryption. While other services are just starting to think about quantum computing threats, Internxt has already deployed Kyber 512 algorithms that can resist attacks from quantum computers. This might sound like science fiction, but quantum computing advances are accelerating, and Internxt is the only mainstream cloud service preparing for this reality. Now, beyond headline-grabbing cryptography, Internxt has built a surprisingly polished user interface. The web interface is clean and modern with, a design that adapts to your system's dark or light theme. File uploads begin immediately when you drag files into the browser, and the interface feels responsive despite the heavy encryption happening behind the scenes. The desktop application creates a familiar sync folder that works like you'd expect, though it's worth noting that Internxt syncs the entire folder. However, you can choose individual files to move to the cloud if you want to free up local disk space. And this approach works pretty well for most users, but might feel limiting if you're used to more granular control over what gets synchronized. Performance is where Internxt shows both progress and also some room for improvement. Upload speeds in our testing averaged 8 minutes, so not the fastest, but I'd say competitive enough when it comes to other security-focused services. Downloads were slower at around 9 minutes, with the service occasionally struggling with large files and archives. However, Internxt performance has improved dramatically over the past year thanks to infrastructure updates. The company has invested heavily in its architecture, and the speed results I got for this video are significantly better than what I measured in previous reviews. This trajectory overall suggests continued improvement as the service matures, and I'll keep tabs on what's happening in the near future here for you guys, so make sure to hit a like, subscribe, you know what to do to support the channel. From a security perspective, Internxt is simply outstanding. The post-quantum cryptography implementation is unique in the consumer cloud storage space. Client-side encryption covers your entire account, not just specific folders, and the service has undergone independent security audits by Securitum, with results published for anyone to see. So go ahead and browse their audit. The company's commitment to privacy extends beyond just encryption. Internxt is based in Spain with servers throughout the EU, ensuring GDPR compliance and strong privacy protections. They don't scan your files for advertising, don't use your data for AI training, and can't access your encrypted content even if legally required to try. Internxt deliberately limits collaboration features in favor of security, which aligns with their overall philosophy. You can share files securely with password protection, but don't expect real-time document editing or extensive commenting systems. The service includes additional security tools like a VPN, antivirus, and password checker, though these feel more like value adds than core features. And please, Internxt, do not become the service that tries to do it all. Rather, focus on your core, stay there, and keep being a good cloud storage service. Pricing. Okay, we have to talk about pricing. And here I'm really tempted to give Internxt a really, really high qualification, a really high mark, because the free plan only offers 1 GB, which is quite limited. But then when we look at the paid plans, they are remarkably affordable. Plans start at just over $1 monthly for 1 TB with annual billing, making it one of the cheapest options available. The lifetime plans are particularly attractive, offering significant savings for long-term users. All right, I know it's been a long video. I hope I could cover some of the providers that you find interesting as well. If you know of another one, please leave a comment below. These are 5 open source cloud storage services that prove you don't need to sacrifice transparency for functionality. From NextCloud with its self-hosted power to Internxt with its quantum-resistant encryption, each service offers something unique for different types of users, as with all cloud storage services, right? The beauty of open source software is that you're not just choosing a service, you're choosing a philosophy. You're supporting transparency over secrecy, you support community development over corporate control, and your own digital sovereignty over convenience at any costs. So, which of these services caught your attention? Are you ready to make the switch to open source cloud storage? Or do you think the convenience of mainstream services outweighs the benefits of transparency? Drop a comment below and hit the like button, subscribe. You know what to do. I'll be here for the next video, and I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.